Well, I'm going to start off with a problem I have because I'm not sure if everybody here is a parent. No, and I'm not sure if everybody here is facilitating. So if you're not a parent or not facilitating, you can also think if I speak about participants, if I speak about children, just think of colleagues or friends or family. If you don't have any friends or family, then come to me after the talk and I'll just be your friend. No problem. So I discovered a little secret. I became a parent 4 and a bit years ago, and I've made three in 3.5 years. So it's been a busy time for me. But I've discovered a small secret, and that's that children are humans. They're just little humans. So actually, they are like colleagues, they are like participants, and we can learn from them. So how can children actually bring facilitation expertise? Well, it's in dealing with humans, it's the soft skills that we can learn from them. And expertise is intelligence, and intelligence, that's just pattern matching. And everybody immediately sees that the red block is standing out. Pattern matching is possible when similar scenarios are presented. So if you just do it once, then you can learn something, but if you do it over and over again, then you learn more and more. So after a while, you become an expert. So you have to find a way to get all the experience. And parenting, of course, it brings a lot of similar opportunities with willing or unwilling participants, namely your children. And then your experience just grows exponentially. I had so much fun making this slide because I didn't want to make anyone like the other. So parenting is also very tiring. So that's why I am asking you guys that if you want to learn participation, then maybe you can rent my kids. They will teach you what I have learned. And so I'm going to tell you 5 reasons why you should rent my kids, because they will give you some expertise. First of all, you need to be the rock, not the wave. If I think back to very early in my career, I was working at a big company and they had a CEO and he was called the Angry Gorilla. And I was working there for I think like 2 months, and I noticed why, because next to the satellite, I was in the satellite office, and next to my workspace there was a meeting room, and every time the CEO came over, there was pounding on the table and there was shouting in the room, and maybe he was flapping his chest, I am not sure, I was not there. So after a few months, there was this big meeting, it was a big event in Germany, security event. So they told us, like, we're gonna have a big meeting and everybody needs to be present. And my boss said, I'm gonna go because Jeroen, you're a bit too honest, you're a bit too open, you're very candor, and I like that about you, but nobody else in the company, or most people in the company have some difficulty with doing that. What was the challenge? Well, we were behind on schedule. So my boss had to stay with the team, and I was sent off to sit in a meeting, and I was not allowed to speak. I was in the meeting was going on, there was no CEO inside, and they were just explaining what they were going to do, the different teams, and suddenly the CEO walks in, and he takes over the entire meeting. And he was asking questions, and I had this flashback back to school, where the teacher is asking a question, and everybody in school or in the audience is like, no, not me, don't pick me. They're hiding, actually. And I found it very curious because he started like asking very direct questions, and still people were looking away, and then he was simplifying, he was getting angry as well, and he was simplifying his questions to the point that he asked what are the 3 pillars that, I'm going to say the company, our company is built on. And I just had the trainings 4 months ago, I still remembered it, and I just raised my hand, and everybody started looking at me like, what? Is he going to speak? And I just said, like, it's this, I don't remember, but I gave the 3 answers, and he was like, okay, who are you? From what team are you? And I said, like, okay, we are building the app, we are building the security app, and I have a demo with me. And he said, okay, come show the demo, and I explained that we still had a lot of bugs, but that we know how to fix them, and we also have a way to work around them if we can't fix them in time. So no worries, everything will be done. I guided them through the app, and he was very content. And so what I learned that day was that the angry gorilla was angry because nobody was responding to him. And he was starting to get bigger and louder because he wanted people to respond to him. And he was not getting any feedback from them. And he started a whole culture, a whole phenomenon where everybody knew that, well, the CEO, you have to be quiet, you have to be... And actually that's not what he wanted. He wanted somebody who was able to talk back to him and explain where he was at. But he was somewhat responsible for making it because he was not the rock, but the wave. He was guided by his emotions. And it's not easy for us to always be the rock. It's very easy for us to be the wave. So what do you need to do to be the rock? Well, you need to take time for yourself. You have to find out what brings you balance. And it could be meditation, it could be taking a bath, it could be reading, it could be sleeping, it could be doing nothing at all. You just need to find what helps you. And for me, it's arriving early, for example. I'm a bit nervous for a presentation, so I just make sure that I arrive early, I can come to ease, and I feel very comfortable. You need to do what helps you to be the best version of yourself. And that is something you do beforehand. So I have here Dwayne Johnson. I love the man. He's a beautiful specimen. Yes, I am. I'm a bit, how do I say it? I have a small bromance on him. There's a reason why he's here. It's not because there's a fun pun with The Rock, but also you can think back early in his career, he was a wrestler. And what does a wrestler do? He takes care of his body, he trains to have a good physique, and he exercises all the scenarios they are gonna do to have a good show and to not get hurt. So be the rock, not the wave. Take care of yourself, and be the rock, do it beforehand, so you don't have to do it in the moment. Secondly, it's praise the effort, not the outcome. And that's textbook growth mindset. I was raised with a fixed mindset. I was praised for the outcome. I was not raised to be praised on the effort. And I understood that intellectually, but I never really got it. It never clicked with me until I realized that for me, the outcome was I'm fast. I can do math in class very fast. I was actually so fast that the CLB told me that I cannot give my task because they had no rating for somebody who was that fast. And so every time I get feedback from people, from teachers, from my parents, oh, you're so fast, you're so quick. And this today is still giving me struggles because I want to do things fast. And if it takes a bit longer, I need to actively think in my mind, no, it's okay. It just takes time, it's normal. It's not about doing things fast, it's just doing it in a good way. So doing it slow is also okay. And I've known this for years, but I'm still working on it. The use of language, the difference is very subtle. And so we're gonna, no, not the exercises yet. So why are we praising on the effort? Well, there's two reasons. One, you want to actually drive that internal motivation. You don't want your children or your participant to just do it because you are there. They need to be willing to do it for themselves. And secondly, you want to take away the pressure of performance. That's also very important to move, to have a relaxed sphere and really get the vibe open for creativity. These are drawings for my child. And so when I'm talking about the results, I'm saying, so wonderful, you're a real artist. It's the greatest thing I've ever seen. You're gonna be in a museum one day. You should think about art school. Well, I can tell you, everybody of you is thinking, that's shit. I'm not, I'm a parent, that's my child's drawing, I love it. And I understand even here, most of the things she has drawn because I've asked her about it. So what language do you use? You will say, I've noticed you use a lot of colors. I've seen you figure out how to draw your name, even if it's just a little bit over there. I've seen the colors you have used. I saw you enjoy the process. And you can do the same thing with participants. You don't just want to compliment only on you had a good idea, but you want to say that I really like how you are all open for discussion, open for feedback. I love how you are using the customer journey to inspire all these ideas that you're getting. I love how you are really taking time to come up with all these ideas and focus on quantity and not just quality, and be open and be vulnerable in this workshop. When you are focusing on the effort and not on the outcome, you're actually making sure that they have determination, they will get perseverance, and they will be dedicated to their work. And they will learn from their mistakes. They will, they will learn from their mistakes. They will be okay with small little setbacks. And it's about growth. So thinking, I'm not there yet, and the yet is very important, because one day you will get there if you just try and practice. And to me, it's a second language. This mindset is a second language. I still have to actively think, how should I be praising this to motivate her? And it's coming more naturally already, but still it's something that sometimes it takes a little bit longer for me to think about it. But if I look at my children, my eldest was telling my 2-year-old, no, you can't jump. That's not how you do it. You can't jump yet, she said. See, I'll show you. Your feet need to be off the ground. Now you try it. I'm sure you'll learn it. And that's something that makes a parent very proud. And if you want that feeling, remember, you can still rent them. So just come and talk to me if you want to feel that experience as well. So the third item that I've learned is the art of letting go. It's quite close to what I've just said, but it's a bit different, because here you just want to let them figure it out themselves. You just want to create the space and the safety for them to figure it out themselves. So if you are doing an exercise with participants, you need to explain very carefully. You need to explain the how, the what, the why. You need to repeat yourselves 2, 3, 4 times, and then you just let go and you let them figure it out themselves. And it's going to be a little bit discomforting. It's going to be a little bit awkward for them, but that's just something that you will need to embrace as a facilitator. You need to be present. You need to be available to give help, but you just can't be too quick to give it to them. Because if you are too quick, you're creating probably maybe one of 2 scenarios. And so the first scenario is where you're actually telling the child, well, you can't do this. You're not doing this right. And you're actually subconsciously taking away her confidence. And we had this thing with our eldest, so we got a 3rd child, and we were very conscious that we need to make sure that we still give enough attention to everybody. So we were helping her more, because it was an easy thing to do as a parent. She's putting on her shoes, let's just help her. And what we noticed after a while was that our confidence was crashing down. And we were lucky, so my wife and I, we share the same vision, so we talk about it, reinforce our vision, and we figured out that we are helping her too much. Maybe we need to take a step back and just let her struggle and really get the boost of confidence when she ties her own shoes, when she independently feeds the chicken, for example, and we saw the confidence coming back. Now the second thing that you can do is you can actually take away the opportunity for that person to actually take effort, to make the effort to grow out of their comfort space. And that's not really helpful for anybody. So with children, actually you can make this very, very visible. You just let your child go up the slide in a different way. You can say the wrong way, but you can also say in a different way. And what's the worst thing that can happen? He can fall off, get hurt, cry, So you comfort him, and what happens? He learns from the experience. He develops his abilities. He learns to recognize his abilities. He knows what he can and cannot do. And he learns how to deal with failure. Those benefits almost make you want to push the child of the playground. I've checked, you're not allowed, not even with your own children. Of course, as a parent and as a facilitator, you are still responsible for the safety, but it's up to you to take conscious choice in what you can and want to allow and what you won't allow. So in my house, my children are allowed to use a knife. They are allowed to lick the knife. They are allowed to use scissors, and they are allowed to lie, which is a big thing in our family, but I'll spare you the stories. And safety, of course, as a parent is number one. With participants, you need to decide, like, do I want to keep time like an absolute strict thing, or can I make it more loose? Do I want everybody involved? Does everybody need to be awake and with me all the time? Or do I allow people to tune out just for a moment and then jump back in a later exercise? And those are all things that you can choose, because you don't really need to do what other people are doing. Just think about why, the reason, and how you feel about it. There are things our children are not allowed to do, like leave the table when they're not finished. It's okay for other parents, and I understand, but for us it's something important, so we are very strict about that, even though they are allowed to lie, and it's almost counterintuitive. So in workshops, the letting go, letting them struggle, you can see it really happen when they are doing group discussions, when they are doing role playing, and even when they are brainstorming and they need to do the 8 ideas in 8 minutes. They always get a little bit nervous, and it's okay, just let them struggle and embrace the conflict, embrace the tension. And actually, the art of letting go, for me, is mostly letting go of control. Because the control that you want to let go of is actually anxiety in disguise. Now we come to the fourth. It's mention de drolleke. So for the non-Dutch speakers, it's a third. So mention the wee third, or mention the little third. Now, as a facilitator, you're responsible to create a safe environment, to make everybody feel at ease, to make everybody feel comfortable, and that way you can you can create a space where creativity flows, where you unleash the potential of a group, and you can still use the expertise and experience of individual participants with the task at hand. Now, what is the drolleke? It's a small tension that happens in the group, and you want to tackle it before it gets out of hand. Let me see. So you want to mention the drolleke. I'm just going to get my thoughts together again. Yeah, that's not really helpful. Okay, so basically you need to create the safe space. And it might be uncomfortable to you because you might have like a senior leader in the group. It might be that you feel time pressure, or it's just uncomfortable to you. But the group and your children are actually expecting you to be there and safeguard the safe space. The you know what, safe space. Because you don't want somebody to bully others. You don't want somebody else to determine where the workshop is heading to. And the idea behind a drolleke is, when there's tension in a group, it's a little third on the table. And as a facilitator, it's very easy to take the third and put it in your pocket because it's no longer on the table. But what happens? Well, there could be a new third coming, and after a while, your pants turn brown and moist and smelly, And actually the people there, they will point to you because you are responsible for the smelliness. You let the tension build too high. And you don't have to solve every tension, you don't have to solve every conflict. It's only when they endanger the safe space you are responsible for. So don't put the turd in your pocket. How can you deal with it? Just leave it on the table, point at it, and ask the group, how are we going to deal with it? There's a little turd. I mentioned I can feel some tension between us. There's some friction going on. How can we move forward from this? There's no need to investigate where this is all is coming from. Just see, okay, this is hindering the group, this is hindering our progress. How can we deal with this at this moment? So what you want to do is you want to point at the turd. And looking back at children, it's actually a big example for children on how you want them to deal with tension. You want them to be open, you want them to be honest, you want them to be candor with their feedback. You will allow it and you will embrace it with love and empathy, because it's okay to create a safe space, but it's more than just saying this is bad behavior, it's got to stop. No, you're going to use love and empathy to find out where is all this tension coming from and how can we deal with it. So you create an environment where people feel also safe to give ideas, but also safe to say there's some tension because Tina said something to me and I think it's wrong and I want to discuss it. Because until that is discussed or at least mentioned, you cannot move forward. This was a slide that I was going to show before because I didn't want you to look at the turd for 5 minutes, but you did. And then the last advice, if you want to be heard, listen. If you want to be heard, what do most people do? They will talk louder, they will use more bold expressions, and they will talk more often, and they just feel like they have to listen to me. They just need to do what they are told. And it works for some people, and that's fine, but I'm not sure if it's a natural tendency or if it's in how they are raised. But today's parent, we don't want to raise our children that way. Most of us want to raise our children to be independent. We want to give them or have them have confidence. And we want them to know what they want and what they don't want. And then the tricky part is you need to respect that boundary, because a child will only learn to do this if it can do so and practice it with a parent. And that's something that's quite difficult. So, for example, I've told you already that my children are allowed to lie. And sometimes the eldest one can already lie. She has discovered it. It's great. And she will tell a lie, and I will immediately know that that's not true because I was there. I was sitting next to her. But I will just let the lie slip. Because then she learns sometimes lies work. And that's something you need to actively think about. If you want your child, your participants to be confident, let them show confidence and don't always put them back down, because they can show confidence to you first and then confidence to others later. And then you might think that, okay, but if I want to be heard, I need to first listen and it will take more time. Well, actually, no, because you just decided you wanted to be heard at a particular moment, but you should have been listening way before. So basically, this is our relationship, and you decide you want to be heard. But you will not be heard because you haven't listened yet. So if you listen before you want to be heard, before you even think about it, then it's much easier to being heard. And actually, this is just how relationships work. So what you want to do is you want to get inside their head, you want to gain insight, get little clues of how they think, what is motivating them, so you can use your empathy again, and really figure out how you can convey your message. Now, there are 3 reasons I found why people want to be heard. And so the first is they want to be recognized. They just want you to say, I noticed you, I know you, I see you, I feel you, you are you matter to me. That's actually the first one, and it's a really big one. If you do this, you're already far ahead in a relationship. Secondly, they want to see the relevance of what you are saying, of what you are going to say. And for that, you need to listen to them, you need to speak with them, and you want to find out their concerns. You want to find out their problems, their aspirations, their dreams. And once you find out what really drives them, what really motivates them, then you know how you can link your message. So you just change the message, you pivot, and you know how to explain what you want and why it is relevant to them to listen to you and maybe even do what you want. And thirdly, people want to be heard, listened to get clarity. Their ideas could still be forming. Maybe they are reasoning in a circle. Maybe they are reasoning in a circle, or maybe they have just self-diagnosed the problem too fast and created a solution too fast, and they are now stuck not knowing why isn't it working, how can I move forward? And at that moment, you want to take the time to really listen to them. You will use active listening, you will paraphrase, you will ask deeper discovery questions, and from all these deeper questions, they will actually gain insight and clarity for them, but also for you. And as soon as they see that, wow, he helped me figure this out, they will actually think you figured it out for them. They will think you are insightful, you will have idea, and they will come to you and they will actually say, help me, tell me what I need to hear. And then you're actually motivating them directly, because they will ask you for advice. They will ask you to know what to do. And that's how you build relationship. And it's not just some cheap trick to get you to be heard, because that's now how I work, at least. This is how you create longer lasting relationships, because if you just execute and let them work on power, then as soon as the power is gone, there's nothing left. Like if you tell a dog, don't eat the treat, if you tell a child, don't eat the treat, and you go away, and you come back, it will be gone. And then my child will lie and say the dog did it, and I have to say, yes, I understand, even though I know she lied. But what you want to do is listen and invest in the relationship. And sometimes you're listening and sometimes you're getting hurt. And by doing this, you will actually make friends that surprise you and will just pop up and be at a talk that you are giving that is closely related to their field, but they will still be there supporting you, which is great. So, why you should hire my kids? First, be the rock, not the wave. Take care of your emotions, of yourself, and do it beforehand. Secondly, praise the effort, not the outcome. That's a tricky one. I'm working on it. Think of the art of letting go. Where do you want to be strict? Where can you be loose? Mention a drolleke. And I even got like a plush poo emoji pillow from a client of mine, because I was saying it so much. And now I use it, I take it with me, and if there is a tension, I will just put a drolleke on the table and make it even more visible. And lastly, invest in relationships. Make sure that you are listening, that you understand what motivates people, that you are building that connection, that one day that you want to be heard, you can be heard. So, a small reminder that you can still rent my kids. They're so lovely, yeah? So this is Hazel, she's 4, Rune, she's 2, and this is the latest edition, Grim, and he's 8 months old. I'm Jeroen Haijen. I'm a coach, trainer, and mentor. And if you have any questions, I would love to hear them.
Well, thanks a lot, Jeroen.
Yeah.
It was a really fun talk.
Did it meet your expectations?
Of course it did.
Okay.
Of course it did.
You have to say, you can lie to me, you know? So.
Yeah, well, I was a bit suspicious about that one because a 4-year-old you still hear when they are lying. If you train that, be sure with a 14-year-old you don't hear it anymore.
Well, if you don't know, you don't mind, right?
I'm curious what you will tell in 10 years.
You're ahead of me, I can tell.
For the rest, I do completely agree with the tips you say, and they still work in practice. But does anybody, I actually don't see anybody with this beamer here, but does anybody still have questions from the audience? Yeah, there, I hear one.
How much do you charge for your kids?
Well, I need to repeat it for the people online. The question is, how much do you charge for the renting of your kids?
Well, let's say I will do 150 for the 3, and if you only take 2, it will be 200. Let's say for half a day. Fine. But you will get some great skills, like soft skills. It's very hard to train, so it's very good value.
Go ahead. More kids to sell?
Can you go back to the slides of the effort and the
I'm sorry, the effort.
there was number 2.
I don't have many slides.
Where is the effort?
Yeah.
For me, it's a hard one.
Yeah.
Of course, I understand the positive validation and doing well, and everybody's own way of growing, and
Yeah.
kids of my own, of course. But I always like to focus on the outcome, not defining, saying, okay, that's what we like to head to, this is where we're going, and let them decide on the way to get there, and not be too severe on, okay, this is, you checked all the boxes, but this is what the direction we want to go.
Okay.
This is kind of the other way around.
Yeah.
Because for me, the goal and explaining what we're going to and what I expect from a group or from my children is really important.
Yeah. So you can focus on the outcome, but you want to praise on the effort to mitigate the downsides of only focusing on the outcomes. And I still praise also on the outcome because that's also a part of life. So there's no problem with praising on outcome, but there's a problem with praising on outcome alone and not on effort. And you can focus on, I want to get there, but if you have a team, you want them to develop a way that they are able to do it all of the time and they feel secure, and not just reward the lucky shots and have people leave, and also have the lucky shot leave and not have like people know how to do it. But I understand that, of course, you want to focus on the outcome, but it's not the only praise that you want to give.
But is it not more the word outcome which perhaps you would change, which would be more the journey or the goal or something like that? The effort.
You can get to a very nice outcome and still be very lazy and don't do a lot of things. And you can work very hard and get shit. So for me that's a bit strange. What I like to do is look at what the outcome is and try to find the positive things and the things that I value very much and focus on those while giving them positive feedback.
Yeah.
But the effort could be for my oldest is everything. She has to work really hard to achieve things, and the youngest is just go by the flow, and she also achieves things that she wants to do. So the effort for me is a bit strange way to do it.
But when I say the effort, I don't mean only praise when they're working hard.
Okay.
Because I got this idea and I made most of this topic hanging in my, I don't know how I say, banana hammock. And I was really like writing a bit, thinking a lot. So in effort, in energy or in time, maybe in time I did use a lot, but in energy I didn't use that much. But I can congratulate myself because the way I worked, the strategy I used was really good for the outcome. So if you have somebody in your company who's really lazy and has a very lazy way of making things work, well, he's using actually strategy, and so you can actually complement on that as well. So effort here is not really in how much energy or how much time, it's just how they achieved
Process.
the process, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, are there any more questions or ideas or critics or additions somebody would like to add? Yeah, very in the back.
Controversial question, but aren't you scared that you're gonna create a new Trump if you let your child lie? Because
So just to
thinks he gets away with every lie.
Yeah, so what you're saying,
perhaps-
I don't want to attack you, but it sounds to me like, so you're teaching your child to use a knife, isn't she gonna run around and be Jack the Ripper? Lying is a tool. And I'm pretty sure today you have lied as well. And I'd rather have my child learn how to lie and when to lie and how to use lies in the benefit of her and the community than to discover at a certain age that people lie and I was not aware and now I have to use it as well and they had no like training in it. And the reason actually why we agreed, I was the first to say like, I think lying is okay. The reason why is with Sinterklaas. And we had children in the family and they believed in Sinterklaas and we were always like, yeah, but can we do this? Can we allow this? Because it's lying and maybe it's not. And the solution to me was like, well, yeah, but we can lie to them and then they can lie to us and then that problem is solved and we just need to make them smart about lying because it's just a tool you use. And you can use it to bad things, to do bad things, but you can also use it to do good. You can make people feel good, you can praise some effort, you can actually motivate people with a little bit of lies as well. So lying itself is not always bad, and that's what we want to teach our children.
As a quick follow-up, is there a difference between within the household and outside of the household when it comes to lying? No, we have certain rules that within the house it's fine because we can put it in context of like, okay, this is okay and we use these types of words, but not when we're at a restaurant or when we're in public or when you're with friends. Like a good swear word needs to happen.
Yeah.
So we differentiate between inside and outside of the household.
Okay, I understand. Well, they are not yet at that age. She's 4 years old. So I cannot explain for her, it's complex to explain that you cannot lie to your grandparents, but you can lie to us. That's a bit strange and you don't really want to go out to a child and say, and from now on, you can lie to us. You just want them to experience that sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And I think that actually going out and lying to the grandparents and getting discovered or getting away with it also trains them that some people react differently to lies than we do. Yeah. But we don't have any rules that are inside or outside the house as of the moment.
How do you react when you're doing a workshop and you notice that one of the participants is being dishonest?
If it's damaging to the group, I will just ask more questions to mitigate either the lie or just get them to not lie again. If it's possible to just delay it. So my first rule is I try to get that person in a one-on-one. I will do a little exercise and I will just say, hey Kenneth, can I just have a small word with you? And then maybe I can explain like you said something and it was not completely honest and it's actually damaging us in this and this way. So next time, feel free to be honest and you will not get personally attacked or you will not be inflicted by what you're saying, basically.
Okay, but I see there's a lot of discussion about the lying, so perhaps we just want to extend the discussion more towards the bar with a little beer in our hand.
Yeah.
And if you have any other questions for Jeroen, feel free to also contact him and have a chat with him. Thanks a lot. Do we actually have badges?
Yes, I do. Soon, yes.
We'll look for them. So you have to wait for your badge for a second. For now, I already announced the next two events. I already said the next one is in Brussels at Movify, That's the 13th of September, also Tuesday. And after that, it's the 29th of September at POW. And I think, if I'm informed correctly, POW just moved to a new office. So it's a really nice new opportunity to see something new. So all welcome there. Subscribe and see you there. And for now, I have our wonderful badges for our wonderful speakers tonight. So one is for you, Jeroen.
Thank you very much.
And one is for Craig. He's still here somewhere. So, very old style. Feel free to put it on your shirt or your bag.
All right, thanks.
Okay, thanks a lot. And
Can I add one more thing?
go ahead.
If you want to learn more about what we do at MADE and keep up with our daily work, you can follow us on Instagram. We're called MADE Design and Innovation. And you can take some stickers home with you. They're on the tables in the back and on the bar. Thank you.